All right, to create a quiz or an assessment on Schoology, when you log in, you're at your course dashboard. So to create an assessment, you're going to go to the top and go to resources, and you're going to go to personal. And this is your personal resources, and you can see I have folders for my units to organize my information. But to create an assessment, you can click here, you can add a folder to keep yourself organized. Now, when you click on there, if you click add a test or quiz, that's going to be a multiple choice assessment only, which is what I typically use. But I've also used the add an assessment, which gives you a lot more options. So if you click on add an assessment, it's going to want a name, so maybe unit 20, and ask you for the points. Under options, you can, click some other information. You don't have to. 6th grade. I could go down, I could click math, and then I would just hit submit. Now, this is where you can put your instructions for your assessment. So maybe answer every question carefully. You may use a calculator. Whatever you want to put there, you can change, make it bold, change the size. You can give your assessment a time if you want, or no time, and you can put that in minutes. You can randomly order the questions, show possible points. I've never messed with any of this, but you can see the options. They can use a calculator. Yes, and it'll give them a calculator to use, but mine have their own calculators that I want them to practice for K-Prep, so I don't ever do that. Flag questions for review. Student settings. Can they view the results? And, of course, you would want them to do that. Number of attempts, 1 time, or if you want them to be able to do it more than once, you can click that. So save that, whatever you put. Then you're going to click on questions, and this is my favorite part. These are all the different types of questions you can do. And I have used a couple of these, which math is different. The number line was cool because my students could graph on the number line. But multiple choice, true or false, those are simple. I really liked the fill in the blank. So you click on that, and it'll load. And it'll tell you to create a blank, type an underscore, type the correct response in the correct answer setup. So maybe I would put a blank is a letter that represents an unknown value. And so it's fill in the blank. There's only one correct answer there. So I would go down here to my answer setup. And the correct answer on that one is variable. So they have to have it exact match. Now, you could do a partial match. I've never done a partial match, so I'm not sure. That would be something you could play around with. But you could also add an alternative answer. So maybe if you wanted it to be, just in case they capitalize the V, for example. But I think this is cool because it makes the kids spell it correctly. On those fill in the blanks. So that's pretty cool. And it will grade that because there is your correct answer. And then you can align standards to that. So then you would save the question. And this part goes a little slower because it is a little more high tech than just the multiple choice. The number line here, what I've used before, there are some different options for the number line at the bottom. You can play around with that. But what I did is I had the number line, it had some negatives on it, and I had students graph like 5 and -5 on the number line. So they had to actually pick these up and move them. So that was really cool. Ordering would allow you to put things like you put a question and do like chronological order of something. You could do it with a lot of different things, especially with math if you were ordering integers or rational numbers. We've already did fill in the blank drop down is similar to just fill in the blank, except it gives a drop-down menu, so you could give them choices. So if you were doing like vocab, you could put a couple of different words in there, and you would do it the same way. So a blank is a letter that represents an unknown value. And then I would put different answers in here. So I would put what the answer choices are up here, options. And I would put like variable. And then maybe I would put equation. And so they would be able to select from the drop-down menu. So gives them some choices with still the fill in the blank option and learning objectives. Lots of different things. Of course, I've only used the things that the computer will grade. I've never done like the short answer or essay. It's got a place where you can highlight text, which would probably be good for reading and social studies. If you want them to highlight something important in a sentence. But it's got a lot of options. The one thing that I do notice about the assessments is that it does take Schoology about 15 minutes to score it, or at least the few times I've used it, it takes a few minutes so they don't get their answers back or their results as quick, but still, it does it for you. You cannot beat that. You can also create a shared resource. So like Mr. Purdue and I have Math 6 here. And so we have everything in here that we share, and it says sharing right there, and it'll show who you're sharing it with. So that's also cool. So you can collaborate on here as well. So that's just a brief overview of the assessments. I'll show you what the test and quiz looks like. Do the same thing. It does look different because when you get in here, it's just add question. And it does give you some options here as well. I've only used the true and false. I'm not sure if the fill in the blank will score it. No, you have to go in and score that. And then, of course, the settings is where you can set if it's resumable, time limit, randomizing the order, things like that. And you can also add the standards here as well. When you have an assessment on here and the students take it and you've aligned it to standards, when you go to that particular class, there is a tab on the left that says Mastery, and you can click on that and it will show you the standard and if they've mastered it. And you will set your mastery settings right here. And so I had this one set to where they had to make a 100 to meet the expectations. So a little strict there. But anyways, so I can look on this standard 6NSB3, which is decimal operations. And we can see that on whatever this assessment was, that only 5 of them achieved mastery. So not very good. But if we look over here, look at all that green. Now, I do want to show you that the little stars means that they did eventually achieve mastery, but not like the first time. Right here on NSB2, which was long division, everybody's favorite, we have a bunch that knew how to do long division. I mean, look at that. That's awesome. And I like the colors. Only thing I don't like about that is that I can't see the standard. Like, I have to click on it to see it. But it is pretty cool. You can glance at that real quick and be like, they know how to do that. But if you have any questions, please let me know. And please try it.